You know the phrase, what that mouth do? Well, what that nose do could have been the tagline for this movie. So Pinocchio Unstrung was actually my first time watching a movie in the Twisted Childhood universe. And honestly, that's mostly because I just haven't heard great things about the movies in it. So I went in with my expectations on the floor, and I actually had a pretty good time with it. Quick synopsis. Geppetto creates Pinocchio to be a companion for his grandson James, who has lost both his parents and his best friend. He's hoping it'll help ease James's grief. Pinocchio wants to protect James at all costs while also becoming a real boy. And that's where things get gory. Honestly, everyone does a solid job acting in this. Richard Brake was great and gave me a bit of a Vincent Price vibe. I'm not saying hand them all Oscars, but nobody's performance really took me out of the movie. They all fit the tone. It was also a ton of fun hearing Robert Englund, who we all know as Freddy Krueger, voice the character of Cricket. The story is pretty simple, but it switches gears in the third act in a way that helps separate it from just being another slasher. It also has a bit of a Child's Play influence that I think a lot of people will pick up on. The comedy honestly worked better than I expected. A good number of jokes landed, and both myself and most of the theater had some solid laughs. I also found myself surprisingly invested in the characters, especially Pinocchio. I never expected to actually care about the puppet, but you do. You end up feeling bad for him and genuinely wanting to see him change. If you're looking for gore, this movie absolutely delivers. There are some brutally graphic kills, and a lot of the humor is woven into them really well. There's one scene with two people working out that gets so ridiculous you just can't help but laugh. The best part of the movie, though, is easily the practical effects. They used a real puppet for Pinocchio instead of relying on CGI, and not only does it look fantastic, it gives the movie a ton of charm. The opening sequence that sets up the backstory also looked great, and I loved the art direction there. Where the movie falls a little flat is that you've got your typical slasher tropes. They work fine for this kind of a movie, but don't expect anything groundbreaking. There are also a few parts of the story that felt a bit unnecessary, almost like they were there to extend the runtime. I wish we got less of some stuff and a little bit more with Robert Englund as Cricket. And while most of the effects are practical, this is still a low budget movie, and you notice that at times. There's some CGI sprinkled in too, and just don't expect ILM level work. The weakest part of the movie for me though was probably the dialogue. It feels very generic and sometimes unnatural, especially when the kids or Pinocchio are cursing. That said, you're not walking into a movie called Pinocchio Unstrung expecting Tarantino level dialogue. If you are, oof. Overall, if you're just looking to shut your brain off, eat some popcorn, enjoy some fun practical effects, plenty of gore, and get a few laughs, I think you'll have a good time. It never takes itself too seriously, but if you're hoping it's going to become one of your all-time favorites, I don't know that Pinocchio Unstrung is going to string its way onto that list.